All right, we are recording.
Great. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar. This is an informational webinar meant to provide a bit of an overview about the Changing Aging Tour, and more specifically, one of our performances, which is titled Disrupt Dementia, and also provide an overview of our upcoming two-day collaborative script development workshop that you have agreed to participate in as our valued partner. So I'm thrilled that you've joined us today, and for those of you who are listening to this as a recorded webinar, please feel free to know that at the end of the webinar, we do provide contact information for us via email or telephone if you have any additional questions. And we will certainly pause for questions throughout this informational webinar in case any of the participants today have any questions for us as we go through this brief overview. Specifically, I want to spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes providing a little bit of background information on the Changing Aging Tour and Disrupt Dementia, and then talk a little bit about our two-day workshop, which is coming up this Thursday and Friday in Seattle, and then spend most of our time in a little bit of dialogue thinking through some of the supports and enablers that we think might be necessary in order to really maximize the participation of everyone who is a part of that two-day workshop. So we're going to invite some dialogue in that component of this webinar as well. So with that, I'd really like to first, I'll introduce myself. I'm Jennifer Carson, and I'll be the facilitator of the webinar, and I'll provide longer introductions in just a moment after we watch this brief video about what the Changing Aging Tour is, and what its primary method is something known as nonfiction theater. And so we just want to share with you a little bit about what nonfiction theater looks like when we're taking it out on the road. And so, Jess, if you wouldn't mind starting up the video and taking over the controls of the GoToMeeting. As Joseph is setting this up, I'll just let you know that sometimes there's a little bit of lag on the audio and visual, but the quality is pretty good for the purpose that we need it for today.
To create an event like this takes lots of people, lots of cooperation, lots of imagination. Now, you just heard me say it, an event like this. What is it?
It was exhilarating. Yeah, I can't wait to tell everybody about this.
It was incredible. It was life-changing.
It really takes you out of your day-to-day life. It takes you to a new place, and it gives you new perspective.
To make you look at things that you've always looked at, but look at them in a different way.
It's not a lecture. It's not a panel discussion. It isn't a concert, and it's not a film festival. Here's the answer. This is nonfiction theater.
When you hear this song, I want you to let your body move to the rhythm. I grew up in Uganda where things were so beautiful. Every day, I would hear these sounds coming in from the forest.
We see elders as a natural resource. Part of that resource is that they've become our teachers.
People who are living with dementia are saying to us, hey folks, don't disrupt dementia on my behalf. No. Disrupt it with me.
Easily it will go. So come on, where do you want to be? It's 2016. Where do you want to be?
A day and an hour will come when each of us will breathe our last. And the question is this: on that day and in that hour, what will those who know and love you best, what will they say of you on that day and in that hour?
If I could choose the way I was to die, I would go falling through the hot summer sky.
Well, I'm not sure if you all saw the same thing I did, but I think the visual got stuck.
Yeah, mine
Did it?
froze on a shot of the audience, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, I apologize for that technical challenge. When Joseph and I ran it just moments ago, it worked beautifully. So you never know when you're doing these online webinars what to expect. And so I will let you you all know that you can watch that short video, and it will actually play appropriately if you watch it off of the Changing Aging website under the tour tab. So please know that the video is there, and it does provide a really nice brief introduction to what nonfiction theater is. And that's what we're doing with Disrupt Dementia. We're mixing music and beautiful images and storytelling, and we put it all on a stage. But I think the primary difference between what we do and most theater or musical theater performances is that all of the stories that we share on the stage are true stories. They come from firsthand accounts of people who are living with dementia from all around the world. And also, many of the words that we share on stage and many of the stories come from ethnographic and participatory research with people who are living with dementia. And some of the stories come from our own personal experiences with people who are living dementia that we have been honored to know and to be a part of their journey. And so just know that little video is available online. I just want to take a moment to introduce the Disrupt Dementia team, and then after we've introduced ourselves, anyone else who's on this webinar who would like to introduce themselves, I'd like to make sure that you have that opportunity. And so I'll begin. Like I said, my name is Jennifer Carson. I am a research assistant professor and the director of the Gerontology academic program at the University of Nevada in Reno. Kyrie?
Yes, sorry, unmuting myself. Yeah, I'm Kyrie Carpenter, and I came to this work through psychology. My training is as a psychotherapist, and I did all of my clinical training working within the long-term care setting with elders living with dementia, and got super passionate about the differences I saw between what the world was telling me and the awesome people I was hanging with each day.
And now, would either of our advisors like to introduce themselves? And just know that as you do that, this is being recorded, so other advisors who watch this maybe over the next day or two would have an opportunity to hear your voices and get to know you a bit through this platform.
Okay, my name is Paula, and I am, my husband Rafe was diagnosed about almost 3 years ago with young onset Alzheimer's, and we've become very actively involved in a really wonderful community here in Seattle that enables us to live very positively with Alzheimer's, and I personally feel like I've become as much of an advocate as I can, and trying to raise awareness and help change that stigma about Alzheimer's.
Awesome. Rafe, would you like to say hello or?
Yeah, hello, and thank you for inviting us. Uh, I think Paula is really dedicated to what you've heard her say, and it certainly has helped me. Kind of props me up and sometimes let me go, sometimes not, but it's a loving relationship, and I think it'll go on for hopefully for a long time. We're having fun with it. We go to clubs sometimes, just for Alzheimer's cafe, if you will, and it couldn't be better. I mean, in terms of what we're doing. So, when we appreciate you reaching out to us and giving us the past, present, and future on this iPod, and see where we can go.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so nice to meet you, Paula and Rafe. And I got to say that the positivity and effectiveness of your partnership is palpable through the internet. So it is a pleasure to meet you both, and I can't wait to meet you in person in Seattle this week. I want to say there's a couple of other faces on this screen I want to introduce to you real quick because they will also be joining us in Seattle. And so on the top left, you'll see a handsome man. His name is Samite Mulando. And Samite is an international recording artist from Uganda and now lives in Ithaca, New York, and he's a humanitarian as well. And so Samite is part of the Disrupt Dementia cast. And the handsome gentleman next to him up there is Nate Silas Richardson, another incredibly talented musician, instrumentalist. He's actually a reggae legend. If you like reggae music, you may have heard him. He's also a recording artist and a studio engineer, and also resides in Ithaca, New York. And then just below him, you see a beautiful woman, Namara McCall. And Namara started as our lighting director for Disrupt Dementia, but the secret is that she is also an amazing musician. And so we couldn't just have her behind the lights in Disrupt Dementia. And so we started trying to find ways to integrate her beautiful voice and performance into Disrupt Dementia last season, and we're going to continue to looking for ways to make Namara more and more a part of our primary cast. She's also a multimedia artist, a poet, and a really powerful and enthusiastic activist. And then finally, just below my photo, that is Kevin Peterson, who you may already know. Have either of you had an opportunity to meet Kevin before?
Yes, I've met him.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is our tour director for the Changing Aging Tour, but he's also a wonderful journalist, an entrepreneur, an activist, and the co-founder with Dr. Bill Thomas of Changing Aging. And so Kevin will be joining us as well. We have other members who are a very important part of our crew, including Jessup, who's running technical assistance on this webinar, and Rob Doolittle, who does all of our sound. And we're a big team, and there's 12 of us in total. I think if my last count was right, and 12 of us are on this big tour bus that drives around from city to city. And we do 2 shows in each city. The first show is Disrupt Dementia, and then the second show stars Nate Silas Richardson again up there with Dr. Bill Thomas, and it's called Life's Most Dangerous Game. And so that is just a little bit of an overview about who we are, and the 6 of us will be joining you this week in Seattle for our 2-day script development workshop. Kyrie, did I miss anybody or anything that you want to add?
No, I think that's a good introduction to the tour.
So in talking about the tour a little bit more, I think it's important to let you all know a little bit about our values as a group. And these values we actually express as a part of our performance. We really believe in the power of love, that love is a driving force behind any justifiable revolution we believe in, including this revolution to disrupt dementia. We believe strongly in the power of partnerships, and we work as hard as we can to adopt a nothing about us without us approach to the development of services and programs within the context of dementia, including disrupt dementia. And then our third value you'll see here is about community. And in Disrupt Dementia, in our performance, we talk about how we believe that no matter the problem, community is really the answer, that communities working together can create effective and sustainable change. And so love, partnerships, and community are really some of our core values. And then the next value I want to share with you is our belief that the elders are our teachers, that the true experts on the experience of living with dementia are persons who are living with dementia and their care partners. But primarily, it's people who are living with dementia who can teach us the most about the current experience of living with dementia, as well as ways we can disrupt the current experience, which we characterize as being a tragedy narrative, and help us learn how to open up a space for new possibilities where people can live well regardless of their cognitive abilities. And so because of this value, as I was sharing earlier, a lot of the stories, most of the stories that we share as a part of Disrupt Dementia are verbatim quotes from people who are living with dementia. And so last year, in our 2016 season, we drew extensively from the words and wisdom of these 6 elders living with dementia. Some of them you might be familiar with because they are very powerful advocates, self-advocates. Many of them have published firsthand accounts. They do a lot of speaking, both nationally and internationally, and that's Dr. Richard Taylor, Kate Swaffer, Christine Bryden, Thomas DiBaggio, Lynn Jackson, and Ed Boris. And Kyrie and I have had relationships, personal relationships with a few of these amazing people, and others we have gotten to know very well through their work and publications. So this year, really honoring our value of authentic partnerships, we want to press pause a little bit before we jump into the 2017 season to open up a space to work in partnership, authentic partnerships with people who are living with dementia and their care partners as we continue to revise and hopefully improve our script for Disrupt Dementia. So that leads me to our 2-day collaborative script development workshop that takes place this Thursday and Friday. And we're planning to have really fun days. Both days we want these to be days of well, a lot of creativity and humor and self-expression, as well as quiet reflection. And so some really dynamic days from 9:30 till 3:30. Know that we will take an hour for lunch both days, and we are thrilled to provide a catered lunch for all participants both days. And so if you have any dietary preferences or restrictions, please do let us know so that we can make those accommodations for you. We're going to be holding the workshop at the Bridge, and that is the name of a community room at the, my little window here, at the Village Cove. And you see the address there on Woodlawn Avenue in Seattle. And in the email that Kyrie recently sent out, there's more information about parking and again, our contact information is there if you have any questions.
Before we go on, I just wanted to check in with Paula and Rafe. Do you guys have any questions about the 2016 tour, all the information we gave you guys about it, or do you feel like you have a clear picture before we move forward?
No, I think we're okay.
Okay, cool. I know it's a lot of information to sort of, absorb, and it's not a super easily explainable thing. So I just want
I think we'll get a better picture on Thursday and Friday.
Absolutely, absolutely. Cool. Just wanted to check in on that.
Thank you. You know what? You actually will, Paula and Rafe, because we thought that as a part of our retreat, a part of our workshop, it would be good for us to show you the material that we've developed so far, the material that we performed in 2016. And so we will be doing an unplugged version of our live show to kick off Thursday morning. So it'll give you all a much better sense of what the 2016 performance looked like, because we will actually deliver it for you live and in person.
I'm looking forward to it.
So this workshop, like I said, we're really aiming to engage people in a very creative manner. We want to create a space and a process that really supports genuine inclusion and participation. And what's interesting is we all know the tragedy narrative is so dominant in the world, and we really believe that that's so limiting of opportunities for well-being. So we want to inquire through this workshop into more of the positive and supportive and loving and life-affirming experiences that are currently taking place within the context of dementia, and dare to ask that question about what life would be like if these positive stories were happening on a much more frequent basis. So we want this workshop to help all of us to envision a more ideal future for persons who are living with dementia and their care partners. And so the process that we're going to use at this workshop is based on a methodology called appreciative inquiry. And I'm not sure, have either of you ever experienced or heard of this appreciative inquiry before?
No.
So basically, in a nutshell, I would say that a lot of workshops, even a lot of research, a lot of program development, a lot of social change takes its starting point with identifying problems and everything that's wrong with the world. So in this case, what's wrong in the lives of people who are living with dementia? How does the current culture, what are the problems and all of the barriers in the current culture? And so traditionally, a lot of these types of action-oriented workshops would use a problem-solving kind of approach. But sometimes when we use that kind of approach, all that you end up doing is getting so many more stories that would support and reinforce the tragedy narrative of dementia. And what we really want to do is open up that space for new possibilities. We want to better understand how can people live well. We already know that there are problems. We understand there are barriers to living well. And what we really want to do at this workshop is to better understand when things are going really well, what's working. What are the root causes of success within the context of dementia? When we look around the nation and we look at the best of what currently is regarding the inclusion and support of people who are living with dementia, what does that look like? And what we believe is that if we can identify the best of what currently is, that we could build an even stronger ramp to new possibilities than we could if we only focused on the challenges and the problems and the barriers. And so appreciative inquiry, which is the primary methodology that we're going to use for this workshop, shifts our attention from problem solving to really appreciating the best of what is and trying to understand how we could build on the best of what currently is to create a more ideal future. So it's a very strengths-based approach. And here's another little slide. It just shows the general process that we're going to use at this workshop. We're going to start by sharing high point stories from our own personal lives or from lives of others who you might know who are living with dementia or supporting someone living with dementia as a care partner. And we really want to discover the best of what currently is within the context of dementia through what we call appreciative interviews. So we're going to interview each other, we're going to share our stories, and then what we're going to do is we're going to look at what are some of the shared themes in all of our stories. And we're going to try to identify some of those really strong themes. And then we're going to collectively dream about what could be if we were to build on those discoveries about the best of what is. And when I say dream, I mean we're going to do some guided imagery. We're going to do some skits, some creative enactments, where we get up kind of like we're on the stage at Disrupt Dementia, where we can act out our dreams of a more ideal future within the context of dementia. We're going to perform for each other. We're going to do some improvisational theater. We're going to do an activity, Carrie, I can't remember the name of it, the 25-10, is it 25-10?
Yeah, it's a liberating structure.
And but it's an activity that invites us to dream collaboratively together and to try to find where there's a lot of energy or shared dreams. And then based on our dreams, what we're going to do, what we'll hear from this workshop, the dreams and stories that emerge from this workshop basically become design elements for our revised script for the 2017 Disrupt Dementia season. So that's where, after the workshop, the cast and crew, we take our learnings from that 2-day workshop, we take our discoveries and those dreams, and maybe even some of the skits that are and improvisations that we see and that we're a part of, and we workshop that into our performance of Disrupt Dementia. And so we really design what should be a more ideal future, and then we show people through our performance what that could be. And our hope is that when people see what should be, we can help activate local community action, mobilize community action so that communities can actually create what will be in their community's future. So that's the basic flow of the 2-day workshop. We're really focusing on the discovery and the dream cycles of this appreciative inquiry process. Are there any questions just about the types of things that we'll do, or any questions about discovery or dream?
No. This is some of this, as I'm looking at it, is very similar. I was a retired teacher, and the school I was working at was using an inquiry approach to teach, and so a lot of this is very similar.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's what's nice to know. We wanted you all to know that there is actually a method to our creative madness.
I can see that.
that everything that we're doing at the workshop really helps us build toward the script development and to really rethinking our performance and hopefully delivering the best vision of what could be for people who are living with dementia, and hopefully inspiring communities nationwide. So please do know that the workshop will be recorded. Sometimes we'll take photographs, sometimes there will be video footage that's taken, and we hope that it's not in any way intrusive or that it makes people feel shy. I think that our team is pretty effective at kind of being in the background with some of that, so that you don't necessarily feel like you're on live television. but we do hope to capture as many stories as possible through the course of this 2-day workshop, and as many verbatim quotes as we can.
Great.
So we're going to have a lot of fun over the course of the 2 days. But in order to really support the authentic participation and partnership of everyone who's there, we want to take the rest of our time on this call to really reflect on any potential supports or enablers that you feel might be required in order to really support the participation of all people. Back when I was a doctoral student, I worked for the Murray Alzheimer Research and Education Program up at the University of Waterloo, or what we more affectionately refer to as MARIP. And I don't know if you've ever heard of MARIP, but they have a great website, and with a lot of free resources that are all research-based resources that have come from participatory action research with people who are living with dementia. So I had a great opportunity while I was living in Canada for my studies to work at MARIP, which was at that time under the direction of Dr. Sherry Dupuy. And one of our research projects while I was there was working in partnership with people who are living with dementia to really understand what it takes to support an authentic partnership as opposed to tokenism. So a lot of times for different projects, people who are living with dementia are invited to the table, and that's a great first step. But what we heard from people living with dementia was that a lot of times they're invited to the table as a participant, but not really supported in being an authentic partner in a process. And so we embarked on a participatory action research project to better understand the supports and enablers that are required within the context of dementia for authentic partnerships to flourish. And that's what this slide is. It's kind of a summary of that research. And basically, what our partners living with dementia told us was that first we have to commit to certain principles of partnerships. And those principles, the primary principles, is that first we have to really have genuine regard for self and others. And it's funny because that's kind of the sterile version of something I call love. So we need to love each other. We have to have genuine regard for all of our partners. And then secondly, we have to believe in the power of synergistic relationships. We have to believe that by working together, we're going to achieve more than we would ever achieve by not working together. So, and then thirdly, our partners living with dementia said, and we also have to commit to focusing on the process of working together instead of on the outcome. And so they said that these are three really important principles. But then you see the circle around it. Our partners living with dementia said that these are the enablers that support their authentic participation. And so with the rest of our time, I have developed a couple of questions that really help us to kind of flesh out these enablers to see what we can do, what the Disrupt Dementia team can do to really support everyone's participation at this 2-day workshop. So these are some questions that I hope that we could just take some time to explore together today. And for those of you who are listening to this as a recorded version, please feel free to email us any of your responses to these questions. So the first one is...
I just want to pause real quick and just name that Kevin, our tour director, has joined us on the call, just so that everyone knows who is in the room. He had a double booking this morning, but he's with us here now, so I just wanted to introduce him to everyone.
Thanks, Carrie. Sorry to interrupt. I've been listening in, and I will also add that we will email a copy of this presentation that has these questions on here. We'd love your feedback. Go ahead and continue, Jennifer.
Thanks, Kevin. So the first question is really about how do we create a space that's physically comfortable? And I guess the first thing that I'd offer as an example would be that it's a shoes optional type of environment. That, you know, if people feel more physically comfortable in their slippers or barefoot or in clothes that just feel good, I would just encourage people to wear whatever is the most comfortable attire. Um, Knowing that we're going to be together for 2 full days, so your physical comfort is really a priority. But are there any other suggestions for what we could do to really help people to feel physically comfortable?
Well, for me, comfortable seating is really important, and access to a restroom is really important.
Check and check. No
Okay.
problem. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good one.
How about you?
Well, let me see if this question, we'll go to this question along those lines. How can we create a space that is not just physically comfortable, but emotionally comfortable? Any suggestions for, here we are, kind of a lot of us are strangers to one another, but how can we create a space that is really emotionally comfortable for your participation?
That's an interesting question, because what I have found in so many of the things that we have been doing with the dementia-related activities is that common thread that we all have of either being care partners or people living with dementia creates, automatically creates a loving environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think it feels like it will already be that way.
That's great.
To me.
No, thanks for sharing that perspective. I hope so.
You have anything to add?
Well, I think you can create a space that is emotionally comfortable is by bringing to the table stories to deal with, videos to look at, painting to put on the walls, having a reason to be there, to have fun, to find others that are just like me. It can work and it could fail, but I think we will have to give it a try, because it's a loving effort. I really feel it as I hear you two talk about it, you and my wife. And I deal with dementia. She deals with me. We love each other. And so, okay, I'll end it right there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. We do plan to do kind of a warm-up icebreaker activity when we all get there, just so that we could get to know one another as a starting point. So know that we will take some time to kind of warm the soil for participation. And so I guess an extension of that question is, how can we build a sense of trust? Do you have any suggestions? Any specific concerns about how we can build a sense of trust so that everyone can openly express their views?
That's a Again, I guess I'm taking the more positive thinking here, but again, it seems to me that we're all there for the same purpose, and that with the icebreaker and getting to know people and having, again, that shared purpose, it seems to me that, again, that hopefully that sense of trust will just be a natural outcome. But maybe I've got, too optimistic view. I don't know.
I feel the same way, Paul. I feel like we're bonded in our mission, and in part by some of our experiences. So but I know I tend to be on the glass half full side of the equation most of the time. I'm kind of an optimistic person. So I think what will be good is if we revisit this question when we have everyone at the workshop so that we can really make every effort to really create a space where everyone feels free to express their views, even if they feel they're expressing a view that's not necessarily popular.
Right.
So that we really want to build that sense of trust so that we can share all of our stories and honor each other's stories. Here's another question, and maybe I'm not sure, Rafe and Paula, if you know some of the other people who plan to participate, but I know Kyrie has good ideas about this too, about how we can really value different types of engagement. So not all just verbal contributions, but how do we really honor and value different types of engagement? Not everybody would feel necessarily comfortable speaking up in a large group, but that doesn't mean that they don't have something to say. Maybe they just want to say it in a different manner. Any thoughts about how we can value different types of engagement?
Well, I mean, I guess just having paper and pencil there for people who want to write. I honestly don't know how to respond to that one. Do you have?
Well, you can have different types of engagements. You can go to the theater together. You can go to the movies together.
We're talking about at this workshop.
Oh, at the workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
How people engage with each other at the workshop.
How do they do it? They talk to each other.
Well, but there are
writing
ways.
Definitely, we're going to look to writing. We thought about art, if we should make time to create art together. So just curious if you guys had any specific experience.
Well, I know Rafe loves art, so that would that would be great.
It isn't good art, but it's art.
Good art. It's good art.
Who doesn't love art?
Music, I think having music
is very important.
Great.
I don't know. Some people may do poetry. I don't know.
I like that. We will work hard to really make this a multimedia, multisensory type of engagement. If you do have later any ideas about ways of expressing yourself or being engaged that you really love, so I hear that Rafe, you really enjoy art. Just let us know, and we'll try to find ways to include that type of engagement.
Rafe, I'm just curious, what medium are you most drawn to when it comes to art?
She wants to know what materials you use. So mostly he uses colored pencils and oil pastels. Is mostly what he uses.
Mm-hmm.
And Rafe, what is it that you like about colored pencils and oil pastels?
Well, what
do you like about those materials?
Well, okay. I like them because I love the color. I like the how it blossoms, how it talks to me, and it allows me to just feel free to make things happen that some people will probably not enjoy, and others will look at it and laugh and maybe even cry. But it gives you hope that you can do it, and that's what I think this process is all about: giving hope, and then The giving is what you're doing right now, is giving me the opportunity to come to where you are, to give me people to talk to banter with, to laugh with. It sounds wonderful.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
So here's a question. I don't know that this will come up, but sometimes I like to reflect on how can we show we value each other, especially when we disagree. So imagine that during the course of the workshop, we're working on something and we have very different perspectives and we just disagree. But how can we show each other how much we value one another, even when we're disagreeing about something? Any words of wisdom about what works for you?
Well, I think we just need to agree to disagree and
hold hands.
Yeah, that's
hug. Have a cup of coffee. Go out to dinner.
Again, in the workshop.
In the workshop.
Yeah, we're not going
We can do a lot of this in the workshop.
Yeah, we
go
can
out
do
to
a lot in
dinner.
the workshop.
Yeah.
There will definitely be coffee and hand holding and hugging in the workshop for sure.
I love that. I like that. I think that's a great recommendation if things get tense, to hug it out.
Yeah.
Hug it out. Know that we're all in this together. We're all working toward a shared goal. We may not see the world the exact same way, and when we disagree, I think hugging it out is some pretty sage advice. Anything else?
Yeah. Anything else about that? No, I think
You know
he
what?
said it all.
You know what? I just want to end this with this. Disagreement is okay. It's okay to disagree. One person will have one thought of how things should go, and the other person said have their thought. Hey, get friendly and work on it. It's a challenge. Do it. You'll love it.
I love that. Yeah, I was going to say there's a group that I worked with, a philosophy group, and it was all of people living with dementia. And we started each group by reminding each other that we were looking for answers, and not one answer, but as many answers as we could come up with to a certain thing. And that was a really great way that we just getting out of the binary of that there's a one right way, that there can actually be lots of right ways and lots of right ideas. And we're looking for that breadth as opposed to, that was really helpful to just have that as a reminder.
I hope you'll put that in the notes, Kyrie. That's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me end this with my thought here. This is so great what you're doing. It's about friendship and love and moving forward and make yourself and allowing us to be
who you are.
Yeah, to be who I am, and to try to love the others that are with me.
I love that. Thank you for that, Rafe.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful trip for us. Wonderful trip. And Paula, I'll tell you, she's fantastic.
You guys are both very lucky.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, this is always a fun one when we think about how can we balance the time that people want for reflection with actually, action. So how do we balance when, we have an agenda for the workshop. So how do we move forward with the agenda while really respecting the time and space that people want for reflection? Just to think about things before moving on.
I think just like you said here, thinking time, just saying out loud, I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes to think about it. One of the things we used to do in school is have something called a turn and talk, where you kind of turn to your partner or your neighbor and just kind of talk about what we've just heard or discussed or share interpretations or feelings or whatever.
I'm a big fan of that.
And, just, saying, I mean, we've got 2 minutes for a turn and talk or whatever, so that you kind of keep things on a timeline, but you still give people an opportunity to talk it out or think it out.
Can I just throw this at you? One of the things that keeps Paula and I in a very strong bonded relationship is what we used to say, in our relationship could very well be said in what we're doing here, and that is, don't we laugh a lot? And I think that maybe could be something you'd want to work with. Just having that idea of working can be fun, and we can laugh, and we can share it with each other.
I love that. That should be one of our guiding principles, to laugh a lot.
Absolutely.
I had 2 more questions. I'm going to put them both up here. The first one is, do you have any suggestions for how we can, in this workshop, communicate the most effectively, whatever that might mean to you, whether it's a particular, font size that is helpful, or a particular volume, or the pace of the day, or anything that comes to mind when you consider the diversity of people who will be in the room and what some of their communication needs might be, especially in light of, we all know that sensory changes are just a part of normal aging. So is there anything helpful that comes to mind for either of you, or Kyrie or Kaven, about how, things that we can do to really communicate the most effectively at this workshop?
Well, I think the less chatter, or to be as clear and say what needs to be said in as clear and as few words as possible. I think to make just to make it easy to soak in, because sometimes, as I'm doing now, we talk around things and we add things and we clarify, and I think sometimes that for Rafe kind of makes it hard for him to follow.
Thanks,
so
Paula.
To be as clear and brief as possible in our dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So instructions, I imagine, are very important.
Simple,
to be
one step at a time.
Right.
And in terms of the full inclusion, I think sometimes just, I know sometimes Rafe will kind of sit back and let me do the talking, and I think sometimes talking directly to him or asking him directly how he feels gets him participating, because I think he will rely on me to speak up.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. What would you think one of the methods that we're considering using at the workshop is a learning circle, where when we do pose a question, we're in small groups, imagine, and everyone has that opportunity to respond to that question without any interruption. So that
I think that's
yeah,
I think small groups also works well.
It really does.
As opposed to, I don't know how many people will be involved in this, but breaking up into smaller groups, I think, makes for a more intimate, comfortable setting.
Great, thank you. I think that we'll have maybe 17, maybe 20. What do you think, Kate?
Including us. We've got a few more registrants today, so we should have 15 to 20 folks.
Wow.
That's great.
I hope so. Yeah.
Even that, it can be kind of a large group. So a lot of times throughout the day, we will make sure that we're doing things in small groups.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Any other concluding thoughts about other ways we can support full inclusion and participation?
You know, I think you guys are probably experts at it. We trust that you know what you're doing.
Thanks, Paula.
I think it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun.
It's my goal. We're really excited about it.
Well, now that we've had a little bit of time together, this is just an opportunity. If you have any additional questions for us, and again, I put our email contact here and Curie's telephone number here. Feel free to email or call us anytime. But are there any?
Just a question, because this is the first I've ever heard of this. Where do you where these performances or these tours? I mean, how are they publicized? How do people know about them? Where do they happen?
Want to take that one, Kevin?
Yeah, we're just getting started. So through the changingaging.org blog, that's our primary avenue. We publish a lot of stories about what we do, how we do it, and then all the tour events and the tickets and the details are available on the blog. In terms of local publicity, we have a really an ambitious operation. Our goal is to perform in 30 cities this year, 30 different cities. So we rely very heavily on local networks, building local networks to help us connect and spread the word. So I'm just in the process now. It's a coincidence. I live in Seattle, so I'll be a little bit more directly involved in marketing and promoting the events in Seattle, but I'm also responsible for all 30 events. So what we will be doing is recruiting sponsor organizations who have the ability to help us reach, our intended audience, promote the events. Tomorrow I'm meeting with a few folks. I'll be down at the Alzheimer's Association to introduce them to what we're doing and try to get them on board and helping us spread the word. Elder Wisdom is one of our first sponsors. If you're not familiar with Lisa Mayfield's organization, it's a really, really terrific community partner involved in a lot of these local efforts. Full Life Care as one of our early sponsors, another terrific organization. We've got a big article in Third Act magazine and a full-page ad coming out next month, and that's going to highlight all of the Washington tour events. And then I'm also a member of the Age-Friendly Seattle Coalition, and just last week I had an opportunity to present the tour to the full coalition and be able to activate hopefully all of our members and get them to help spread the word. So we're just getting started. The Seattle event is May 3rd. It's that first week of May on a Wednesday. It'll be at Town Hall. You guys, of course, will get free tickets and a front row seat.
Oh my!
Yeah, we'll be honored guests. And if you haven't had a chance, there's the afternoon Disrupt Dementia performance that you're going to help us refine and work on. And then there's also a wonderful evening show featuring Dr. Bill Thomas and a couple of wonderfully talented musicians performing with him. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Good. Okay. Sounds good.
That's great.
Well, all right. Well, I will leave you with my thank you slide. We can't wait to see you in Seattle on Thursday.
We're looking forward to it.
And please do contact us if you have any questions that come up between now and then.
Great. Sounds
so
good.
Much, guys.
We're thrilled for your partnership. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.